Herbicides are a powerful tool for weed management, and mixing multiple chemistries in a single tank can save time, fuel, and resources, all while incorporating multiple active ingredients. However, not all herbicides are compatible with one another, and using the wrong tank mix can lead to serious problems like product separation, clogged nozzles, and poor weed control. Today we're going to break down why some herbicide mixtures fail and how to avoid costly mistakes. One common problem is not having enough carrier volume in the tank when you start to mix these herbicides. Here we have two jars, one representing a tank filled at 25% capacity with carrier volume and another at 75%. Now let's see what happens when we add liquid AMS, famectin, glyphosate, and MSO into the tank filled with 25%. You can start to see that the products are separating and there's a non-uniform solution. Now let's say we come back and add more water to the tank. This still does not fix the issue. You must have an adequate amount of carrier volume in the tank before you start mixing. Otherwise, you'll end up with clogged nozzles, hoses, and debris left in the tank. Similarly, if you mix the herbicides in a vat prior to adding water, they won't dissolve properly. For example, here we have 2,4-D, glyphosate, atrazine, and COC mixed in our simulated vat. But once we added the chemical mixture to water, you start to see the herbicides form large, solid particles instead of going straight into solution. Having a sufficient amount of carrier volume before you start mixing is the first step to a successful tank mix. But problems can still arise if you don't follow the proper mixing order. For example, let's say we're wanting to make a burn down application and add an oil-based product like COC before adding our dry formulation like Fierce. The oil will coat the dry granule, preventing the hydration and suspension of the granule into solution. Here we have two jars, one representing an improper tank mix and another as a proper tank mix. And you can notice that with the incorrect mixing order, the dry granules stay intact and don't suspend into solution. A good way to remember the proper mixing order is whales. First, you'll add your wettable powders, then your water dispersible granules, and your water-soluble packets. Next, you'll agitate the mixture. After agitation, you'll add your liquid flowables, followed by your emulsifiable concentrates, and lastly, you'll add your solutions and soluble liquids. The solutions and soluble liquids are any formulation that are already uniformly dissolved in water, like surfactants. But always refer to the product labels to see what the best mixing order is for those chosen products. A simple way to check herbicide compatibility before mixing in a large tank is by using the jar test. To do this, take a clear jar, fill it with your carrier, and add the herbicides in the same order you would in the sprayer. Here, we're using water as our carrier, and we'll be adding AMS, tembotrione, atrazine, and MSO. Shake or stir the mixture, then let it sit for 15 to 30 minutes. If you start to see separation, clumps, or sludge forming, the mix may not be compatible, and adjustments are needed before spraying. This small, simple test can save you from costly tank mix failures. Many people assume that incompatibility is only about physical slime or sludge left over in the tank. However, two herbicides may look like they're compatible even though they aren't. Let's take a look at this example. We have clethodim and dicamba mixed into our tank. They look like they're compatible with one another, but after the application was made, there was still poor weed control. This is due to chemical incompatibility, where two herbicides may interact negatively with one another, either causing a reduced efficacy in weed control or causing crop injury. This can be easily prevented by carefully reading your herbicide label to check that you're using the proper tank mix partners. Using tank mixes can make or break your weed control success. Just remember, always have a sufficient amount of carrier volume in the tank before you start mixing the herbicides together. Follow whales for the proper mixing order, and always refer to your herbicide labels before mixing. Keep these tips in mind so that you could have cleaner fields, better weed control, and fewer headaches, all while saving time, fuel, and resources. Thanks for watching, and happy spraying.